I heard the walls breathe before I even stepped inside. That sound is the part that still wakes me up at night. It was slow and heavy, like a sick animal hiding behind the mud bricks. It wasn't the wind. It couldn't be. The air was too still, too hot, too dead. I was 14 then. Old enough to pretend I was brave, but young enough to still believe grown-ups always knew what was safe. They didn't. Not that day. My uncle had died the week before, and my family went to his old house in the village to clean it out. Everyone avoided that house, even when he was alive. Kids crossed the road when they walked past it. Elders finished their sentences fast when the house came up. People whispered, "Don't stay near it too long," but never said why. When we arrived, the first thing I noticed was how quiet the area was. No chickens, no goats, not even birds in the small trees behind the compound. It was the kind of silence that made you feel washed. My mother pointed at the door and said, "Go inside and check if there are rats." Rats. I would have welcomed rats. The door felt warm under my hand, even though the house sat in full shade. I remember pulling my hand back and wiping it on my shirt, like the house had a fever and it had touched me. Turned, my cousin, came in behind me. He was the kind of boy who made noise just to hear his own voice. But as soon as we stepped inside, he stopped talking. Not a single joke. He stood close behind me, like the air inside the house pressed on him. The smell was the next thing, wet soil, old smoke, and something else, like clothes that had stayed damp too long. It hit me so hard I swallowed back the taste of iron. We were only a few steps in when we heard it. A dragging sound. Slow. Heavy. Steady. Coming from the bedroom on the left. It didn't stop, even when we froze. It just kept going. Something pulling itself across the dirt floor, inch by inch. Ton whispered, "Let's go back." His voice shook. But I don't know what came over me. Maybe it was stupid pride. Maybe curiosity. Maybe the house itself. My feet moved even though everything in me said turn around. I pushed the bedroom door open with one finger. There was no one there. But the marks on the ground were real, long, white smears through the dust, like something had dragged its whole body across the floor on its stomach. I felt cold even though the room was hot. I was about to call Ton when the bedroom door slammed shut behind us. So hard the frame shook. We jumped back at the same time. Ton grabbed my arm so tight his nails dug in. We pushed the door, but it wouldn't move. It didn't feel locked. It felt held, like someone was standing on the other side with one hand pressed against it, just calmly pushing back. Then the whispering started. Not loud. Not clear. But everywhere. The walls. The floor. The air. "Stay, don't go, stay." The voice sounded weak and broken, like it didn't have breath left. My knees felt loose, like they wanted to fold. I did something foolish, I leaned my head toward the wall. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to hear better. Maybe it wanted me closer. The wall tapped back. 3 slow taps. Like a reply. I ran. I threw my whole body into the door. It cracked open and I fell into the yard, scraping my shoulder on the cement. Ton scrambled out right after me, crying loud enough for the whole village to hear. My mother and aunties rushed over. They didn't ask a single question. Not one. They just said, "We are leaving. Now." We left everything inside, the clothes, the furniture, my uncle's things. No one looked back. That night, while I pretended to sleep, I heard the elders talking. They spoke low, but the fear in their voices made every word sharp. My uncle had been hearing things in that house for years. Whispering. Movement. Breathing that wasn't his. At first he tried to ignore it. Then he tried to talk back. He told them he heard someone crawling at night, dragging itself from one end of the house to the other. They told him to leave. He didn't. When they found him dead, he was lying on the floor, facing the wall, his ear pressed against it like he had been listening. I didn't sleep at all after hearing that. For weeks, nothing happened. Then one night, I woke up to a sound in my own room. 3 taps on my wall. Slow. Familiar. I sat up fast, too scared to breathe. The house was quiet. The village was quiet. Only the moonlight lit my room. Then I heard it, a soft dragging sound outside my window. My whole body locked up. It was the same sound from my uncle's house. Slow. Heavy. Like something pulling itself along the ground with its arms. I didn't move. I didn't blink. I didn't even swallow. The dragging sound stopped right under my window. Then, very softly. Stay. I almost screamed, but something in that voice wasn't angry. It wasn't threatening. It sounded lonely. That scared me more. I forced myself to look at the window. The curtain shifted, not a big movement, just a slow rise, like someone was lifting it with one finger. I saw the dark shape of a hand. Not a full hand, more like fingers, too long, too thin, like they had been soaked in water for too many days. I closed my eyes and prayed. When I opened them again, the window was empty. The curtain was still. The next morning, I begged my mother to let us leave the village early. She didn't even argue. I think she already knew something had followed us home. We left the next day for the city. I never went back. But that house is still there. Nobody goes near it. People pass it fast, heads down, eyes forward. Some say the house took my uncle because he listened too much. Some say something old lives under it, something that crawls out when it's lonely. A few months ago, someone from the village told me the house made noise again. They heard dragging inside even though no one has lived there since my uncle died. They said the dust around the doorway had long, wide marks in it. Like something had crawled to the door. And stopped there. Waiting. I still dream about the taps on my wall. 3 slow taps. Always 3. Always from the same direction. Sometimes I wake up sweating, sure I heard breathing in my room. And when I think about that day, I don't remember the walls simply breathing. I remember them exhaling. Like they were disappointed I escaped. Impatient enough to wait for me to come back.